Garner, scene 1, take 3, sound 3.
I was born in 1942, 12/12/42, in the good old Bronx. I was born during World War II. I don't know anything about World War II. I can remember my childhood back to when I was about 2. We were fighting the Germans. And we were fighting the Japanese. And we were fighting the Italians. But I had German friends and Italian friends and Japanese friends, and I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes I can remember it. I took my little drum, and I marched down the street in the Bronx, screaming and yelling at the top of my lungs and banging my little drum, "My daddy is coming home, my daddy is coming home." And every time my mother tells me this, my ears, my eyes start, filling with tears. I remember distinctly, I'm in my crib, and I was wearing yellow pajamas. They cover your feet, and with all the snaps and everything. And it was late at night, I know that. And all of a sudden, the light went on. I never saw my father, just a picture. All of a sudden, this handsome-looking man comes at the door, and he stands there looking at me with a big smile on his face, and I yelled out, "Daddy, Daddy!" And I knew him, and I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this as long as I live. My father loves to come home after work and sit down and read the paper, have dinner, watch TV, and go to sleep. I was always closer to my mother. Wanted me to marry a rich, rich man. Everybody had a TV set. My mind is completely different than my mother's. I read the headlines, and that's it. And my mother would knock on the door, and she'd say, "What are you doing in there so long?" I listen to the news 3 or 4 times a day. Well, now it's time, that you've had babies, and you have to give it all up. And she'd see me there standing with a bell on my head. "You can't have your cake and eat it, too." And I disagree completely. And she'd say to me, "Well, what on earth are you doing?" I've been meeting the right people at the right time. I feel that behind every successful businessman there's a woman. Dog eat dog. And I used to feel so embarrassed. I feel what's good for the goose is good for the gander. "What are you doing with those clothes on?" Mama keeps calling, and I said, "Well, Mother, I'm practicing. Mama, every Friday night, a piece of merchandise. So love me today. To be bought and sold, that's all. But I accept reality. But I don't like to dote upon it. And that's what I would do in my room. Because if you don't go to Mama every Friday night, I haven't picked up a paper in a year. I still like Shakespeare. Oh, Mom, I want to be an actress. Mom, I'd like to study what you want to do. I know what's going on in the world. And I realize it. And it hurts me. Because I love the country. It really hurts me. I love the flowers and the trees. But I wanted to take up dramatics. And a house in the country. I know people are getting stabbed, knife shot, and everything all over the place. I just don't care to read about it. Because if I constantly read about it, then I'm prone to think about it. I could believe in a lot of things very strongly. But, you can be a nonconformist, but there are certain ways you must conform to society.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last!
I'll tell you, I went to George Washington High School, and George Washington High School was like a little United Nations. The school was 1/3 Negro, the other third was mixed. The earth so huge, a great big ball. I like to experience every phase of life. And here am I, so very small. There was one teacher that left a lasting impression on me because he used to keep me after class every day. I search and search to find my home. If I'd so much as turned around to look at the boy behind me. But I'm so lost. Where shall I roam? And he kept me after class constantly. And you know what we would do after class? So many souls that are so near might lend a hand. We would chit-chat about my plans for the weekend, about the fellas I've been dating. But none took care. And I think he liked me. So onward bound to seek the light. Everybody has a superego, right? I pray the hand to guide my flight. There are so many things to do, so many things to see, and I'd like to do some of them and see some of them. I like to go to the theater, and I like to read, and I like to write poetry, and I like to listen to poetry, and I like to go to the concert, and I like the opera, I like the ballet, just as much as I love a good ball game. when you have something to give to somebody, to be able to give to somebody, no matter what it is, to give from yourself to someone else, to get on the stage and say something funny and make somebody laugh. Life is just a bowl of cherries. Or to say something very, very sad and to make somebody in the audience feel.
Not long ago, I received a letter. She spoke of the pain and the loss and the tears that are ever ready to flow.
Like the old soldier of that ballad.
Don't take it serious. Life's too mysterious. I talk my song.
But through all of this were words of encouragement for me from this dear little lady.
You laugh and you worry so.
He tried to do his duty as God gave him the light.
So we ask God to bless you and your little family.
And just fade away.
I'd like to learn at least how to carry a tune. But you can't take it, though, when you go.
Following this principle, I think,
The communists can just walk right in.
to develop a consensus among the power groups in the nation.
The communists get involved, and there you go. Boom.
Now, following that, I think we can hold them.
To me, the worst thing anybody in this world can do is to take it upon themselves to take their life or anybody else's. There's only one man who can do that. The man upstairs.
And we will begin.
I was born, let's see, I lived under Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson, and, of course, our president I greatly admire. He is our president, and I give him due respect, because he is our president. Given the opportunity, I feel everyone could murder.
This effort is what we will pursue in the great society.
I'm not talking about self-defense. I'm talking about deliberate, cold-blooded, unadulterated murder.
For my countrymen, in those words, are to be found the greatness of this nation. And also, the strength of its president.
There is a little flower upon a lonely hill, a pink and yellow flower, sitting there so still. No blades of grass, no other buds. The trees are even bare. My eyes lay fixed upon it. What is it doing there? The earth is cold, the sky is dark, the clouds are all too gray. No warmth, no light, poor flower. No, not one little ray. I hear a crash of thunder, there's a fire across the sky. It pours too heavily. Oh, please don't bend and die. I stand there fixed, I cannot move, my head bowed to the ground. The wind is silent now. At last, there is no sound. It is so serene and tempered now. I can gaze upon the hill. I see a pink and yellow flower. It's sitting there so